So I just harvested my first lot of flowers of any quantity out of the garden. It's been just little bits of this and little bits of that in the garden. Our garden started very late. We were very busy in the spring, so we still have ranunculus. We're just harvesting them right now, and it seems to be all pink. And then we just have, I collected some holodiscus, which is this sea foam, it's called ocean spray, some hydrangea, one head of hydrangea. I have a little bit of calla. So we'll see what we can do, but I have a very special container that I like to design in when you have odds and ends, and that it makes something really beautiful really quick. So let's go inside so that I can show you how to do that. Got the flowers back in the studio, and I'm just gonna get it in water so that, just holding vases, so that I can get started with the container, with the vase that I'm going to use. Now, I'm gonna show you how I build this vase because it's really actually quite a simple vase to build. It's something that I did for the Creative Edge article back in November of 19, and it was called Nouveau vertical design, and this is sort of the key kind of a container that I used, and it's one of my favorite for actually designing just odds and ends cuts from the garden, because it doesn't matter how many stems you have of anything. It could be ones and twos, so that you could have a mixture of things, and it sets up really well. And it doesn't use a lot of flowers. So if you happen to have a lot of flowers, you can make multiples of these. So I want to show you what we're going to start with a container. So basically the container is a cylinder. This is, I think, about an 8 or 10 inch cylinder. And I've used already two lengths of Smithers Oasis wire mesh that's been rolled up and clipped together. And they slip right over, tight over the cylinder. And then it doesn't go to the bottom. It goes to the bottom with the extension of, these are actually marshmallow bamboo skewer. And so I got those at 3 points so that it really then doesn't move. It's very sturdy, and it doesn't collapse on you this way. So it holds up the weight of anything that you put up as far as flowers in the water tube as well as the vase itself. So, and then I actually attach water tubes to it. These are the 4-inch water tubes, and they actually have like a half a tab of U-glue attached to the backside in 2 spots, and over those 2 spots and attached to the wire mesh so that it stays nice and snug. This is really a cool container because not only does it take very little room because it's an upright and its footprint is so small, so in storage it's really easy to store, doesn't take up a lot of space. So I'm going to show you how I finished this to make this a very easy piece to design in. I'm going to be using a Midollino wire vine in 3 different colors, 3 different shades of green. And so I'm going to attach those first to actually kind of enclose it and make it sort of like a very viney kind of a look, sort of a handmade vine kind of a look. And then I'm going to go in and add in an actually sort of slightly dried vine so that it kind of transitioned to the actual botanical and then to a real vine like a jasmine. So I'm going to start on doing that and show you where I'm going to be at when I start the flower. As you can see, it went pretty fast adding on those 3 Midollino wire vines. And I did it, it's kind of like when I'm twining those through and vine wiring, I'm actually pretending like I'm the vine itself and how it would like to climb up the side of this vase so that it looks realistic. The whole idea is to make it as realistic as possible. So we have the 3 shades of the green in those wire vine. So those are twining through, and then I finished off lacing it over it, vining over it with sort of semi-dry passion vine. And what that does is it sort of makes it becomes real, to put some real botanicals with real tendrils, they're dry tendrils on it, but so that it segues to the fresh that I'm going to be designing into this. So this gives it sort of almost like a trellis that is very natural for the flowers to be placed into it, the stems to be placed into it. The stems are going to be, if they're really long, they're going to be in water in the vase, because it could be also the water tubes going up. So what these water tubes makes it possible is that if you have some very short stems, and quite often when you're out in the garden, there's a lot of short stems to cut, because I don't want to cut a long stem rose. I want to cut just down to the next bud that's showing up. So those are really short. So that's one of the things about designing out of the garden that's often difficult in a regular compote or a vase, is the stems are too short, and so you can only do little tiny things. This allows you to make something very tall without having long stems, because you have all these water tubes. So I'm going to basically go through and get this watered. And so again, the cylinder vase needs water. So and this is part of, there's two reasons to water this. It becomes a water source for the stems that goes into there, but at the same time it weighs down this whole structure, so that with the weight of the water, so that the whole design is not tipsy. So that's the reason for it all. And it gives you this kind of nice, clear, almost sort of levitating kind of a look of flowers up above. And then I'm going to go in and take the water bottle and just put water in all the water tubes to get it ready. So the collection that I have, as you saw out in the garden, I collected a lot of ranunculus. There's a lot of them. But I also have odds and ends, because I really want actually kind of an interesting combination, so that it's an intriguing kind of a design. Of course, I have the jasmine vine to kind of just sort of weave it all the way through to kind of unite everything. I have one piece of Anthurium clarinarium from a plant that I want to showcase because it's really cool tropical, and it may just kind of add that little dramatic interest to the whole design. I have a little bit of maidenhair fern, just a little bit, just coming in. And I have one hydrangea, quite big, this light pink color. I have the holodiscus, or the ocean spray, that's just growing wild. Mini callus. I have some equisetum, because I may use those as a water tube for some of these mini calla, because some of it might be not quite good enough to use, or long enough to use from the bottom, but yet I may also want to use one of them sort of upside down, flowing downward. So it would be water tubed into the equisetum. And of course, ranunculus in a couple of colors. And then I also have, like, this is the thing about cutting out of the garden. There's odds and ends for sure. Right now, I had just actually yesterday morning 3 of these black Asiatic lilies that were open. Well, it was a very hot day, so the other 2 are done. But I have 1, so there's only 1. But it does tie into this color harmony, so I thought I would showcase it, just like I would this Anthurium. And then also some of the sedum out in the garden in the rockery is flowering right now, and it happens to be pink. And it has really great texture and some beautiful blooms on there, so I'm going to use that. And of course, there's a few garden roses that were available. So we'll see how it all fits in. There's definitely a little bit more than I need to do one, but I just want to show you, by showing you how to do one, and if you have extra flowers, you can have multiples of these to create almost like a flower wall. So that's the whole idea, and I'm going to just go ahead and design it right now. So I got it done. It went fairly fast. I didn't think I would use actually this much product because I thought, oh my gosh, there's enough stuff to probably do too. But I just was really enjoying and loving all the wonderful textures. The overlay of holodiscus or the ocean spray, the fussiness of that, along with the vine. It flows in a similar way, sort of downwards and as a vine. And then, placing the beautiful buds of garden roses that smell so good. I'm just like sort of like right against it and just really enjoying just everything that's what was happening in the garden. As I walk in the morning to check to see what's blooming, I'm seeing it all in this tower. And so you can see that some of the short stem things were tucked into water tubes, so it was not a deficit to the fact that they were on short stem. They could be displayed in any parts of this design to fill that kind of the template that I've created. And it's such a sampling of so many things, which makes it possible for anyone, your friends, guests that come over to see it. They can see that the wonder of so many different materials that's in it. And you'll have a pleasure to kind of share with them what they all are, what part of the garden they're from. I did show with that one lily right here, because that's the only one, but it shows up nicely. And you can imagine that it was on a short stem like this, and for it to show up nice and high like this, prominently, instead of tucked real low and hidden inside the arrangement, should you design in a container. So this just gives it makes it possible to really, really showcase some of the real cool things that you've got going on in the garden, all in this kind of a vertical tower. So this is the one that I'm calling it Nouveau vertical design in the cylinder. And I think I love the way it just simply floats on that clear glass. And you see a little bit of stems in there, but all of it, a lot of it, in the water tubes. There's just one stem of mini calla that is, well, this one here, coming down, is in the equisetum. And that's the only one that is actually kind of closed in with the equisetum as a water tube. So there's moisture in there, but that's the one that's going to probably dry first. But because of the fact that it's hanging and because of the fact that it's sealed inside that water tube, it's going to hold up just as well as the others. So voila, it's a fun piece, and it's the best way to enjoy your garden inside after you gather the flowers from the outside.